Hey, what's up YouTube family? This is D from Brooklyn, the Assistant Chiefy, with number 2 of my DIY series, how to build your sump/refusion filtration unit without killing your pocketbook. I know for a lot of people you can look at some of the videos and some of the intricate details that go into building some of these tanks, or some people really go into a lot of detail when they build it and they scare you off. You say, it's a little bit over my head, I don't think I can handle it. You go out, you spend a fortune, and then it ends up, being a real nightmare. So I've gone that harder route and built mine from scratch, which is what led me in doing it the second time, making it a lot easier, a little more manageable. And hopefully you can look at what I do. Maybe it'll apply to you, make your life a little more easier on the pocketbook and a little easier on the stress level. So come with me. I'll show you how I built my sump/refusion, and it was really easy. Hopefully it'll be easy for you. Come on, let's take a look. Okay, so here's the tank. Let me just go over what I did. Basically, my first sump tank was completely built from the ground up. I got a friend of mine, he gave me the glass, we completely framed the tank. This time, since the dimensions are the same, and it actually saved me a lot of trouble, I decided to go with a already made Aqueon 29-gallon tank. Now, it's not a 30. My other tank was long and narrow. This one is 18 inches high, 30 inches long, and 12 and a half inches wide, or 12 and a quarter inches wide. Basically, all the work was done for me, so all I had to do was get the glass, which instead of cutting it this time, I got my local glass cutter to cut the glass to size. Now, rule number 1, measure 3 times. I know a lot of people say measure twice, cut once. I say measure 3 times and cut once. What I do is I draw my plans on paper before I do it, and I plan exactly what's going to fit where. I measure it twice and around, make sure it's going to fit before I piece it together. Now, I got the glass cut. Mine particular, I went to my glass place. They charged me $5 a sheet, cost me $25 for all the glass that I needed. Then I got the Aqueon aquarium silicone, same thing I used in the first tank for attaching my partitions. You can get any reef or aquarium safe silicone. They usually sell in a very large tubes, but since I wasn't building the tank from scratch, I didn't need that much, so that actually was more than enough. And since my pieces were all cut to size, all I had to do was measure what was going to fit where. This is going to be my trickle box area. That unit I already had built some time ago. Same one I had way back when. I still kept it. That baby's right there. Made some modifications, make sure it fit in here. Partitions are cut to size. Basically, you want to run a bead of silicone to fit. How I do it is I pre-measure it and I mark my areas. You'll see my little markings here. So I know exactly what's going to fit where beforehand. I lay it out beforehand, and then I put it into place before I put it in. So, with that being said, you run your beads of silicone, put your glass into place, and as you can see, since I had them measured and they fit right into place, this one's not going to go here, but I'm showing you so you know what it looks like. And that's all it is to it. Now, you'll realize a lot of times a lot of these things are basically a matter of you seeing and knowing what you're going to do. A lot of these things are very easy to do yourself, which is why I'm making the videos. My whole thing was, rather than going out and building the tank, I got this one. Not only is it pre-made to the dimensions I was going to build it anyway, but Glass Aquariums backs it up with a limited warranty. Don't take my word for that, since I'm not using it as a aquarium holding fish. Maybe that voids it, but anyway, it's very strong, it's reinforced, it's framed, and it's going to look nice. It's not going to look like you threw it together. So, let's look at some other. Okay, so here's the upward view. So that you see what it looks like. Here's my bio chamber trickle box here. Here's my drawer, which is the only reason I really keep this, is it's easy to maintain. That's going to go all the way in there. There's your drip plate. As you can see, the chamber sits within there. My protein skimmer is going to be here. And I left this little chamber because I did have a refusion. I don't know whether I'm going to just keep that for growing, cheetomorpha or algae. But what I did do before, and I found it very fruitful to both my fish and like gobies and to my coral, is I kept copepods in here. I cultivated them in a little sand bed. I had the I had the cheetomorpha in here, and I actually added live brine shrimp. Now, for anyone that's ever worked with brine shrimp, I like growing them, but it can be a pain in the neck, but I do it. I add them not to the tank, I add them to my refugium, and in time they will trickle over this very narrow area. They will find their way into your tank, but they will multiply in here. They will grow in here. And I'm debating whether I'm going to, for the time being, let's just assume that that's what this area is going to be used for. My pump will be in here, my return unit will be in there, and this is the setup. As you can see, there's the Aquan. Thank you, Aquan, for taking all the labor out of it for me. Oh yeah, and it's 13 inches, so if you really want to know the dimensions, there it is right there. Saved me a lot of time. Very, very secure. It's very, well put together, and all I did was partition it. So if any of you out there have any inhibitions or fear about glowing glass and securing it in silicone, you're scared the thing's going to burst on you and put 30 gallons of water on your floor, here's a shortcut. And that's that section. So now let's look at the existing sump that this one is going to replace. Okay, YouTube, this is the final step in the process. A few things I've taken out just because I was moving all this equipment yesterday by myself, and I didn't realize how heavy my old sump was. Holy mackerel, I used such thick glass. I think I had a little overkill there since it was my first build. I used some very thick glass. Well, anyway, the tank is waking up. The antenna's cut on. This is like its dawn mode. And there's the sump. As you can see, I made some obvious changes. I kept all of my biological media with the exception of the sand. I kept a minimal amount of sand in there because I just ran into problems with the sand doing damage to impellers. My protein skimmers, oh man, I think I went through 2 motors, not on this one, but on my previous protein skimmers, just because of the damage that the exposure to the sand, once it gets in that impeller shaft, does. Oh man, so let's take a closer look. Okay, here's a closer look at the new setup. Look, it looks like it's made by Aquan. I just cut the sticker up just to prove to everybody, just to remind myself that I built this from an existing tank rather than building it from the ground up with the glass. Anyway, I kept the dimensions there just for future reference, so if I make any changes or if I have to get any equipment, I can keep track. So here you can see that I've incorporated my bio box. I'm old-fashioned. I know a lot of people have taken the trickle part out of the system. It really doesn't have a big impact on my tank since my rock is so old. My tank's been set up for over 10 years now. You can see some of it has that dark color anyway, because it's old, I gotta do some glass cleaning, but since I'm filming it from the bottom up, you can see everything there. But anyway, back to this. As you can see, my protein skimmer chamber is much bigger, I have much more room. I'm guaranteeing that I get that 8 to 10 inches of flow, which is recommended by most protein skimmer companies. You can see I cleaned it, got a lot of good bubbles coming out of here. And I got a lot more surface area that I didn't have for my bio chamber before because the tank was so narrow. This one's 13 inches wide. One thing, 2 boo-boos. Remember how it says measure 3 times? Well, I guess I had to measure 4 times because as it turns out, my skimmer cup doesn't come out here unless I have to bring it around the back and bring it around. It's like about a ½ an inch off. Don't you just love that, man? In this hobby, no matter what you do, you always get thrown a curveball. Well, anyway, I have a much smaller chamber. I kept a little bit of the cheetomorpha that I had from the other tank. I took some out and actually fed it to the fish. I'm going to see how that goes. I'm going to add my brine shrimp culture back to this. I raised my brine shrimp to swimming stage, and I actually released them in this little area. I think it's very fruitful for the health of the corals, because I don't have to feed my tank, which forces a lot of nutrient culture into the system by constantly dosing it and dosing it and dosing it. I just use plankton. I keep plankton growing. I add that weekly, well, maybe once a week, depending on how the water tests show up and things. I don't get any phosphate blooms or anything. And I released a brine shrimp in this bottom area. So I kept this bottom area pretty empty. I'm going to take some of my older rock, clean it, and I'll probably phase it in and out of here, or I can use this area for actually storing some of my frags. You know, I was playing around with the setup. I have another glass chamber that I'm working on that's going to actually fit like a hanger right in this little phasing area there. It's going to stick over here and hold my little frag plugs on it, and my light will be on. It's on a separate timer, which I'm still programming. And I planned, if money is right, I'm going to, thank you to eBay, thank you. I'm going to add a controller to the system, just because the tests, controlling the system while I'm away is a big thing. I'm going away this week. I'll probably be away for 6 days. So the ability to monitor it and check on the parameters while I'm here is something I should have did, being in this hobby so long, you know. I don't jump on technology. I like to make sure it's proven and working and up and has a lot of accolades before I jump into it. But anyway, as you can see, everything is up and running. Tests are showing very, very promising. Everything is clear. Has some clearance here. Oh yeah, my little PVC. I wanted to make sure that the water flows in here on a slope. As you can see, it's extremely quiet. And I've noticed that if the water comes straight down, you get a splashing. If the water comes down on a slight angle, guess what? You get the river effect. No noise. So here it is, YouTube. I will keep you posted on further updates and tests as I take them with the new system up in place. And thank you for watching. This is Dee, the Assistant Chiefy from Brooklyn.